What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.
To me, banking for life means coming into the branch and always feeling welcome.
Being able to pick up the phone, knowing who you're talking to at the end of it.
The flexibility with banking options.
Having absolute faith in the people you're dealing with.
The Mako Rugby Roundup.
Welcome back to another episode of the Mako Rugby Roundup. We're back at the Turf Hotel. Big thanks to Stan and the team for having us once again. And, geez, we're well into the season now, even starting to get a little bit chilly in the morning. Beautiful day today. We're kicking things off with our guest today from the Tasman Rugby Union, Estelle Uren. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Chris. Thanks
Very
for
good.
having me on.
You're the Community Women's Rugby Manager. So that's your role at Tasman Rugby Union, would that be correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
Very good. Okay. Before we kick on, we must give a shout out to what's on this weekend at the Turf. On Thursday night, it's jam night between 8 and 11. Friday night, Hysteria, 9 till 8. And then on Saturday, it's Kick, 9 till 8. And then, of course, the mega meat raffle. 2,400 this time, so even bigger pack. So make sure you get down to the Turf and get your tickets and ready for the draw on Sunday. So Estelle, welcome to the show. It's great to have you here. Can you give us a little bit of background where you originally hail from?
Yeah, so not too far from here, actually. Born and raised in Kaikoura.
Oh, right.
So yeah, up the or down the east coast. Yeah, feel pretty privileged to be raised there. Good little seaside town.
Yeah,
and,
beautiful spot.
yeah, really good spot. Family's still there. A lot of the family's still there, so it's a spot that we go back to quite often.
So you know where all the crayfish are. And
Oh, I couldn't tell you that.
But you do know.
Maybe not.
No, not so.
Not saying. Yeah, and that's had a bit of a rough time, but yeah, big rebuild on the road. The road looks just magnificent. So the town bounced back a bit, has it? Is it not quite what it used to be, but getting there?
Yeah, I think we lost some really iconic buildings. I know, like a lot of the old pubs are gone. But yeah, that new road, especially on the north side, it's pretty spectacular, and it's provided better opportunity, I think, for when you're driving through there to stop and have a look at the seals and
Yeah.
the likes of that. I was actually really nervous the first time I went back back to Kaikoura after the quakes, because I have this image of it, right, what it was in my childhood and where I grew up, and I was quite apprehensive that would change all the memories. But when I went back, yeah, there was a significant difference, but it's still the same place, you can't change the feel of it. So
Yeah, and because of the landscape, like down the end where the rocks have risen and then now there's this plateau. I mean, it's a new dynamic and a bit of an attraction now, isn't it?
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, fantastic. All right. So how did you get involved in rugby? Was that something that's always been around, or was it something a bit later on in life for you?
A little bit of both. So I played a little bit of rugby, I recall, when I was maybe 12 or so. And then obviously once you get to 13, can't play with the boys anymore. So there was no pathway for me being in Kaikoura. So I went away from rugby. And then it came back into my life when I was about 22 overseas.
Oh.
So I played a couple of games at school, like we'd have an exchange here and there. But yeah, not really until later life did I pick it up, and I started off in the sevens scene, and then moved back into the 15 scene when I came back to New Zealand.
Okay, so where did you play sevens overseas?
In the United Arab Emirates.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, and they had a comp there.
They have comp there, yeah,
Right.
pretty big comp. So I ended up playing for Abu Dhabi Harlequins initially, and then made it into the Arabian Gulf Sevens team. And yeah, we had some pretty successful tours around Hong Kong Sevens, Bangkok Sevens,
Oh,
over
wow.
in Tunisia. Yeah, so super fortunate with that pathway.
Was that a lot of expats? Was it a bit of a mix of Kiwi, Aussie, and English, or?
Kiwi, Aussie, English, South African primarily.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, huge expat community, the rugby community over there, but very cool setup.
Right, and then
What were you doing for a living there?
So I did a couple of different things during my time over there, but initially I started off as a activities coordinator at a place called the British Club, which is essentially best way to explain it is like a resort, but you don't stay there. So it's got swimming pools, tennis courts, volleyball courts, restaurants,
Oh, wow.
beaches, adult beach, kids beach, whatever you kind of want in a resort, it's got it. And it's a place where the expats come after work. So I was running the kids programs there, and after school coaching.
Wow, cool. Yeah, that sounds like a good place, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. What was the other job?
I did a year teaching PE at an international school.
Oh,
So
cool.
that was teaching the locals, and then I actually got a rugby contract. So I got paid to play rugby.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. Cool. Yeah. So how did you morph into the 15s game? How did that come about?
Just before the Christchurch earthquakes, actually, was in a little bit of limbo. I wasn't quite sure what to do. Contract had run up. I was considering moving to Canada or coming back home, and my sister rang me, and she was pregnant with her third child. I hadn't met her second yet, and she said, "Can you please come home?"
Right.
I said, "Oh, if you buy me a ticket, I'll come home." And the next day, they'd brought me a ticket, and a week later, I was back home. Obviously, rugby was a huge part of my life then, so yeah, just went down to Kaipoi. Actually, was where I first started playing 15s in New Zealand, and yeah, just kind of went from there.
And so as you moved around, you started playing for a few different clubs, just wherever you settled, or who did you mainly play for?
I played for Kaipoi initially, and I would have loved to stay there. There was an element of, I guess, enticement to move to Christchurch Football Club. They hadn't had a team, and Steph Fox had come back to New Zealand, and Melissa Rusco, so prior Black Ferns, and they played for Christchurch their whole life, and there wasn't a women's team, so they wanted to start that women's team up again. I was kind of on the verge of making Canterbury at that point, and the coaches kind of said, "Oh, this would be a really good move for you to go there." So I ended up moving to Christchurch Football Club, and that's where I stayed. And then after some time, I moved up to Taranaki, and I did play for Clifton up there for a season.
Oh, right. Oh, cool. So then you've ended up in Nelson. So how did you arrive here, and what was the connection with the Tasman Rugby Union? How did that work?
Yeah. So my partner is born and raised in Taranaki. We met up there. She's a firefighter, and she studied in Nelson, so she wanted to transfer back down here. And for me, I'm not super bothered where I live. My sister and her crew are out in Motueka. Mum and the family are up in Kaikoura, so it's close to home.
Yeah.
It's no brainer. So yeah, just kind of followed her down here.
Right. And then went on the search for looking for employment, and is that how that connection came with Tasman Rugby?
No, initially I was working at the Port Nelson. So my background work-wise is actually logistics, warehouse management, and it's taken me through some good times historically. And with COVID, just kind of decided to tap out for a year. So sold a house, bought a house bunch, travelled New Zealand for a year. And while I was doing that, community's a big driver for me, and just realised that the work I was doing it because I'd had great opportunities, and I'd just kind of been stepping back to back off those opportunities, but it wasn't necessarily something I was really enjoying. So I took that year off. I said, I really want to get back to community work. I didn't know where that was going to go, and we're up in Taranaki, must have been Christmas 2022, and I just started having a wee look, community jobs in Nelson, and that popped up, and I happened to know Mel Bosman at the time.
Right, yes.
Mel Bosman also played for CFC, so spent a bit of time behind her in the scrum. So I reached out to her and just asked her, "Oh, what's going on down there?" And yeah, just piqued my interest, and so I ended up applying, and here we are.
Fantastic. So when were you appointed to this position?
February 2023.
Right. Okay. Yep. Right. And when you arrived, what did they tell you about the role?
I said they're looking for someone to lead the space. They didn't really have anyone on the ground to dedicate time and energy into the women's game only. Obviously, off the back of the World Cup, there was a huge drive for all unions to put some resource into that space, and a lot have. They don't really have a huge amount of emphasis on exactly the direction they wanted to go. They just wanted opportunities to be provided for our young wahine coming through. And so based off that, it looked like it was going to be a really good challenge for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you arrived, how did you find the state of the game for girls and women in our region?
Feel like that's a loaded question.
That's right.
Yeah, but how was it?
Yeah. Really, initially, I came in with zero expectations, and I just wanted to spend a bit of time on the ground to understand and, get to know the players and understand the lay of the land. And I mean, the women's game here has got a pretty rich history, really. If you dig into it, there's been a lot of key drivers in that space, and like just getting to understand the feel from the players, how they feel about the competition. And there was a overarching feeling, I guess, that they felt like they weren't supported particularly well. But in saying that, state of play wasn't too bad. It just needed a little bit of support around it, I think. And I started to get that now, and can see some positive changes in that space.
Yeah, I guess I was more referring to numbers.
Oh.
So what was the playing numbers like in girls and women then, and has it grown?
Yeah, it definitely has grown. So when I first came on board, one of the initiatives that the union wanted me to do was to kick off our under 15 grade. But initially in that women's space, it was 4 teams. There still is 4 teams. The women's space is struggling a little bit numbers wise. In the under 18 space, it's kind of stayed pretty consistent as well. But in that under 15 space, that's really growing. So 2023, we did a tri series, which is 3 weekends. All 15s came together, under 15s came together. We split them into teams, just played footy. Last year, we ran, initially it started off as a 7-week window where they'd come together on a Friday night, play. Essentially, we had 4 teams. And then kind of 6 weeks in, they're like, can we go longer? So we extended that season to 10 weeks. So they played 10 weeks of footy on Friday nights. This year we've got a 10-week window again, and we've got kind of 5.5 teams now. So that space is a space that's really growing in the region.
Mm. Yeah, I think the challenge is the same for the guys, but perhaps a bit more exacerbated for the female space, in that they go to uni. You know, they play under 15s at home, of course, living at home, and then get into 18s, and then university beckons. And we've lost a lot of quality rugby players because they've gone to other cities where they can go to university and still play the game.
Yeah, that's a conversation that all sports in this region, with the exception of maybe bowls. We've got a rich history in bowls. We're doing well in that, but their challenge would be encouraging younger players to take it up. But football, netball, all those sports, when we develop, and we do quite well in that junior age grade space, and then when obviously the kids want to go and expand their horizons and go into uni and go into other things. So that's always an issue. So I guess that's where the challenge is, isn't it? Because in the senior division, it's always a struggle to get numbers. So where do you put the emphasis? I remember, someone saying to me in the football game, we should just concentrate on development, making sure that when they do leave, they're well-developed players if that's what they want to pursue, because generally that's when we've got them and we don't have them after that. So, but we did notice with the Mako, when the Mako started up, we started attracting senior players to come and play for the Mako. So, I don't know how you work that balance, how you develop that balance.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, Nelson is a transient space, right? The same as all small towns. Taranaki's the same. Their state of footy is very similar in the women's space. The bigger areas, right? People go there, like you say, to study, and they're also bigger places. So you've got those that have played their whole life there, and they don't need to move because they're already connected there, and they have all the opportunity for study, etc. on their back doorstep. Nelson, if you want to study, if it's not at NMIT, you've really got to go away for that, which is unfortunate, but it is what the place is, right?
Yeah. We should become like Coffs Harbour in Australia. They've got a sports college there, sports university, right beside the fields.
We've got the perfect weather for something like that. There's no doubt
and
about that.
They have all the national tournaments there, and it attracts a lot of people. So maybe we should be looking into that.
Mm.
The priorities for this year?
Priorities for this year in the women and girls spaces, start in that under 15 grade, really nurturing that space, offering some development opportunities, getting around those girls a bit more, and the coaches, and a little bit of education and development in those spaces. Not just about rugby, but holistically as well. How are we looking after ourselves? How do we be better people so that we're better rugby players? And then moving that into the under 18 space as well. Again, getting around them, a bit more development. They've got a little bit of a greater opportunity than those 15s at the moment with the South Island under 18 tournament. So we have an under 18 rep team in the women's space. We've introduced the Billy Guidon Challenge Shield, so that brings a little bit more mana into that space and giving those girls some autonomy over how they play the season. So last weekend we had a vote, so they've chosen the season format, which hopefully gets them to buy in a little bit more to that.
So a couple of things that come out of that. You've got to you start this week with some programs for under 15s and under 18s with nighttime rugby.
Yeah, so tonight under 18 girls 10s tournament. So we always kick off the season for that age grade with the 10s tournament, bring all the teams together so we can nut out any issues, introduce all the coaches and managers so they know who they're playing against, and just makes it a little bit friendly environment. All the girls play everyone, so they've played all the teams. There's no unknowns kind of when you're traveling or whatever going into what's that team going to be like, so they get a little bit of camaraderie going before they kick off the season. And then the same in the under 15 space on Friday night.
I think it's fantastic, and may it continue to be successful, because you started this last year, didn't you? You got it underway, so looking forward to seeing big crowds at those parks. The second thing you mentioned was the Billy Guidon Trophy.
Yep.
Now, what's the backstory to that? We all know who Billy is, of course.
Yeah.
But he was important to a lot of female rugby players, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was really important to a lot of our wahine in that women's space. And as you know, he coached the Maris team for a couple of years, and he also coached the Mako team. So what he gave to that space, we wanted to honour that in some way. And I met with his mum, Stacey, and she said her and his sisters, Tia and Tori, they really wanted to do something in that space. They didn't know how to go about it, what to do. And so he just really assisted them in donating that trophy into the women's space. So it's the Challenge Shield. It's up for grab at home games. We kicked it off last weekend at the 10s tournament for the Wahine, and Kahurangi came away with the nugget. So it's on the line this weekend against Maris. So I think that will be a pretty good game, because I'm pretty sure Maris will be after it.
Yeah, well, that's right. Because, I mean, he played for, now correct me if I'm wrong, he did coach at your club, but he played Waimea as well, didn't he?
Waimea Old Boys.
Yeah, so his
all and every club he's touched is going to be involved in this.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say his mana does go right across the region, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So so it's not unlike the John Goodman Challenge Trophy in the men's senior division. So this is a great idea for senior women.
So let's talk about that. Let's nice segue into the opening round for the women's rugby. So that is on Saturday, 1:15 kickoff across the board. Yep. Kahurangi women, as you mentioned, the Billy Guidon Shield holders versus the Marist women. Les, how are the women looking this year? Because you're going for the quadruple, is that right?
Yes, a four-peat thereafter, having won it 3 times in a row. Look, it's a year of rejuvenation, if you like, for Marist Rugby. A lot of the ladies who were involved in those 3 years a lot of them have retired. We've got some youngsters, so it will be, and it's not a huge squad at this stage. So, as it gets colder, we might see some of those older women come back. But at the moment, it's a lean squad. But more importantly for Kahurangi, it's their club day. And
Right.
so having their women's team playing at Sports Park Motueka is, I think, outstanding. And we look forward to being part of it and having a crack at the Billy Guyton Trophy.
Well, it's interesting because the Kahurangi men are having a bit of a rebuild year by the looks of it. Early season, but
Also playing Marist.
oh, is it? Yeah, right. And yet the women come away with the 10th. So the women looking pretty strong at the moment.
Yeah, I think we'll have to wait and see how that plays out in the 15s. I try to stay pretty neutral. They are looking pretty sharp, and they did look really sharp in that 10 space. But in saying that, all those games last weekend were super competitive. I think, there's a couple of draws and there's a couple of wins and losses within 7. So I think 15s is a different game, and traditionally probably Marist suits 15s better than it does 10s. So I think it'll be a pretty brutal match out there.
Yeah, it could be close. Home ground advantage to Kahurangi. Moteri women, they've got a side, so they'll be Waimea women actually have to travel over the hill to take them on at Aroa Park. So early days, so we don't really know how both those teams are looking at the moment.
How'd they look in the festival?
Yeah, I think that'll be a close one as well. I think Waimea got up over Mutiri at the festival, but again, I think that was one of those ones within 7 points. So again, you put 15 players on the park and there's a little less space. So yeah, looking forward to see how that plays out.
A lot of wise heads in the Waimea team. Some players have been around and played Mako rugby. So yeah, it'll be so I'm wondering, was Hannah Gillespie still running around for Moteri?
Yeah, so they've probably got about the even amount of
experience and new players.
Niska Scott and Hannah and Courtney.
Yeah.
Finau over there, and then you got Steph Mitchell over this side, and if Stacey Davis puts her boots on, or you got a couple of those young girls on both sides coming through as well. So I think they're probably pretty evenly matched in terms of experience and youngsters.
So it could be a close race this year. Turning our attention to men's senior rugby and results from last week. Les, we talked about a possible upset, didn't we?
Yes.
They were coming off some confidence. What a turnaround for Nelson. So tell me from your observation, let's look at the score, 57-47. So
what a cricket score.
A lot of points scored there.
Yeah, except it wasn't loose. And the defence wasn't, just giving up. Everyone was having a crack, but the game did open up. So Marist led 2017 at half time. So 67 points scored in that second half in 40 minutes. That it was enjoyable to watch. Hats off to Nelson. I thought their bench made a real significant impact. And, with the John Goodman Challenge Trophy on the line, a guy like Zach Taulofa just really wanted to get that trophy. And he scored 2 tries to finish the game. It ended up being 8 tries to 7. So 8 tries to Nelson, 7 tries to Nelson. So goal kicking making a bit of a difference. The Nelson halfback, Matt Soper, kicked all but 1 kick. Just a great game of rugby. So no issues from my point of view. The better team won, and it was terrific for them to get a hold of the John Goodman because they were ecstatic when they did.
I bet they did. So from your observation, because obviously the last couple of years I've struggled with numbers, there was even questions whether they have a break from a first division side. At one point there was discussions, why the rebuild, but they've persisted. And now Tom Marshall has taken over the helm. What's your observation? I mean, is it a bit like Waimea where some people have come out of retirement and come to the rescue, or are there some new players?
They do have some experienced guys, but in the main, I think Tom's done a terrific job. They've gone overseas and brought in a couple of players, and the club is very proud. So Tom played for them, and loves them. So tap tap, as they would say.
Yeah, that's
and he has built a really, really good squad, and it's competitive. And we could see that momentum sort of building in the first 3 rounds, and then it came to fruition round 4. So hats off to them.
Geez, so that really opens up the competition. Let's look at this. Waimea Old Boys 41 over Central 24. We wondered how Central would be travelling, and Waimea on a home pitch, they were just too strong, obviously.
Yeah, I would say that that's dead right. Waimea are a pretty good side there. Their skipper Sam Briggs scored a couple of tries. So yes, my concern for Central, they'll make the 4 because they'll win all 5 games at home probably, but how they travel will continue to be interesting.
And here's me saying Kahurangi are in a rebuild stage, 58-20 over Stoke.
Well,
Away. This is at Green Meadows. What happened there?
After the podcast, I did read an article that said the cavalry have come back. So they got some really good players back, including, the first 5, Stu Cruden. So yeah, they had a very good, timely win, and I believe Mike Wells, who is their coach and centre, scored his 500th point for the club. So they had a, and he's not that much of a goal kicker, so it must have been a lot of tries. So a great day for Kahurangi, and they're now back on track. So what an even comp we have.
Man, it just opens the whole thing up now, doesn't it? So it's going to be very, very interesting. Okay, let's look at the picks for this week. And I think for the men's game, you can be a little bit biased, can't you?
Oh,
Of course you can.
sure. Yeah.
Have a crack.
Why not?
So Kahurangi versus Marist at Sports Park Motueka. And you've got to pick this one because he's biased.
Yeah.
He's got green eyes.
Well, I reckon I know what Liz is going to choose, so I'll go the other way around, eh?
Kahurangi at home.
And that is fair. Club day at home, big crowd, all the momentum. So, yep.
Stoke versus Waimea Old Boys, that's at Green Meadows. And obviously Stoke, I don't know what happened there because they didn't start too bad, but last couple of results haven't gone their way.
Yeah,
Waimea will be strong.
Yeah, they've hit a bit of a rut, 1 win out of 4. Green Meadows, always a good patch for them, but I think Waimea was too strong.
And then Nelson have got a real great chance to capitalise because Central have to travel again.
All right, we'll leave this one for you to
say. Nelson versus Central. Well, Central will be hurt by that. They'll obviously be navel gazing, so I think it's going to be close. But confidence at home on Trafalgar Park, they'll want to build on that. So you'll have to pick the hometown team for that one, and that again for the John Goodman Trophy. So they've got to defend it as well. All right. So last week we featured I keep on saying a lower division. The more senior division, or perhaps put it this way: they don't train 3 or 4 nights a week.
One night at training.
Senior A, Marlborough Rugby, and we picked out. Now, it had on the draw Havelock, but I believe that is the Pelorus club, isn't it? It's not a combined club. So Pelorus, 27 at home. I did pick that. Not that I know what I'm talking about there. 27 over Renwick, 17 at the Havelock Domain. So well done to the Pelorus club. And then we picked out another feature match. It is against your club, Les. Murchison, Division 2, and the car company round taking on Marist Division 2. Murchison Sport Recreation Ground.
Yes, so this is the first bus trip for the Marist Club, and they enjoy these. It's a big squad. They'll have a great time.
Yeah.
I don't know if, obviously the result matters to the participants, but it's also the camaraderie and the aftermatch and all of that. So Murchison will be looking to get a good start to their season.
We've got some. It's the first round of college rugby, the Miles Tide of college rugby. Just with the under-15s, under-18s, is that club orientated, or is that more around the schools, or is it a bit of a combination of both?
It's a combo. So we play under age grade rules, which is neither school nor club. It's whatever you play for. You actually don't have to be at school playing the school team. It's participant based really. So it's age grade, not necessarily what school you go to, what club you go to.
And so when the under-18s go to the South Island comp, that concept's the same for the other teams from around the South Island, or are they more club school orientated?
That's rep rugby.
Rep rugby,
yeah,
okay.
So it's essentially a combination of your best players from all those teams.
Right.
Same in the other regions.
Yeah, right. So it gets underway. Miles Tide first 15 boys championship and premiership. Waimea combined, so they're in the championship, aren't they, Les?
Yes.
They're taking on Horomaka combined at Waimea College, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, so a chance to go to Richmond and have a look at them play their first game. So I like Waimea combined. They've got good coaches, and I would think they'll get up in this one.
I saw them out running around the port last
Yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah,
Oh, did they?
King group
Might
of
be a bit
lads.
late to be doing fitness, lads, but you know.
Well, you got to be
Everything
fit all
counts.
year, don't you?
I mean, that age, they don't need pre-season, do they?
do you go and watch any college footy?
I've watched a couple of games. I watched a couple of games last year. When it's on during the week, when it's on the weekend, typically I'm tied up elsewhere.
Yeah, of course.
Nelson College. So here's your morning. So you can go catch Nelson College. They're taking on Selwyn combined, 11 o'clock at Nelson College. So then you can shoot out and catch the rest of Waimea combined after that. So Nelson College gets their campaign underway.
Yes, so Selwyn combined. Oh, look, you have to think Nelson College. They definitely are in a rebuild.
Yeah, had a few boys left.
Yes,
year,
they
didn't
did. They did. But I still think that with the coaching they've got and with the caliber of players and the depth they've got, they should get a win there.
Rangiora High School taking on Marlborough Boys. That is at Rangiora, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, and
So-
Marlborough have a lot of year 13s this year, so
it could be quite strong.
Yeah, it could be quite strong. So
They've had a lot of success in their pre-seasons, I think.
Yep.
They had 2 wins up north and they had another 2 wins down south. So
Oh, now, didn't they play in Kaikoura against Christ?
they
We
did
picked that up.
Christ and someone else. I can't remember.
Oh, and they did
who
okay
it
down
is.
there.
Yeah. So they've won all their pre-season games. So I think they'll be pretty strong this
so
year.
we'll pick them.
Fantastic.
You'll
Yeah,
pick
I mean,
them,
we'll
eh,
go
Steph?
them anyway over at Rangiora.
Regardless.
I mean, I do love the goon, but
Super Rugby Pacific and geez, the Blues, they really needed this, didn't they? 40 over Western Force 19. And then on Saturday, drew a 36 over the Reds. What happened there?
Well, Suva happened.
Yes, of course. And
So-
we did pick that up, and you stumbled.
does
You
happen.
stalled when you found out it was at home. But yeah, no, the Reds will be too strong.
Yeah, I
They
thought
turned it around.
and I did watch the highlights, of course, and some of the rugby was superb by both teams, actually. Good game, 36-33. The previous game, that Blues 40 Western Force, there was nothing that made me excited about watching that on a Friday night. I know that they ended up scoring the tries and getting the points, but there's something just not quite right with the Blues, but hopefully they get it all together.
Maybe they just had to go back to basics. Hurricanes versus the Chiefs, and Hurricanes are starting to fire up, aren't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah. Did you watch any of this?
yeah, Chiefs is my team actually.
Yeah,
They've been
right.
my team since I've been 13, so
Yeah.
I'm loyal to
You
the
would have
Chiefs.
been a
But
bit
I'm not happy with
disappointed.
that score. Yeah.
So where I think Hurricanes are really fine, their forward pack is excellent, and Karefi again was terrific. It's their back line.
Ruben
Their
Love was on fire. wasn't he?
Ruben Love and Calum Harkin at fullback. Those two were wonderful, and then they've got this midfield that I think's a dream midfield in Riley Higgins and Billy Proctor, and then they got pace out wide. So yeah, it was a forward setup, but the backs were terrific for the Hurricanes.
Well, if you're going to have a bit of a slip up, now's the time
Yeah.
for the Chiefs, and as they have one eye on the finals. Brumbies, that form continues, 40 over Waratah 17. So they're in the mix. And then the Highlanders, poor old Highlanders, it's just not going their way. I thought maybe the home ground advantage, the colder weather, but Moana Pacifica 34-29. And didn't Adi Sevilla try that kick the week before?
Yes.
And then he's tried it there, and this time it came off, didn't it?
Yeah, he's
A toe through.
He is an amazing rugby player.
It's phenomenal. Isn't he?
He's going to be in the back line soon. So if we look for the picks for this weekend, Fijian Druitt. So that actually
Yes, it is Fiji and Drua.
is the Blues.
At 7 o'clock. So that's 7 o'clock Suva time.
Yes.
The Blues are.
Sorry, Queensland Reds. Sorry, I thought it doubled up, but it's the Blues they take on.
Yes.
Geez, so
Yeah. So
out of the
that'll be
blue, they might get another win.
the Blue. They might. Depends on how hot and
funny.
humid it is, right? At 7 o'clock at night.
Geez, what a time to come back, and what a time for the Blues to come up against them. I would have had a lot of confidence out of that. The Waratahs at home versus the Queensland Reds. So the Reds will be hurting a bit.
Yes, and I would think a better team than the Waratahs. It is away, but I'd put my betting on the Reds to win.
I'd
Agree with that. Second
yeah,
that.
Yeah. Right.
So I was going to ask you what your pick would be for the Crusaders versus the Chiefs.
Always the Chiefs. Always.
It's not even a hesitation.
Nah,
Like the Crusaders are at home.
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Nah, I actually have a mate who's overseas now, living overseas. But every Chiefs Crusaders game, we usually put a dirty little tattoo bed on it. So
Yeah,
we've got some nasties from a couple of times the Satyrs have beaten the Chiefs, but she's got more than I have, so I'll stick with the
And
Chiefs.
you're probably going to get ready to get another one after
Yeah.
this
Yeah, that's
weekend.
right.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Well, I think the Crusaders will win. Yeah,
At home.
At home.
Yeah, it's going to be a good match. Western Force versus the Brumbies. So Force at home. And that's always, they've upset some teams at home.
He's lived over there, so we'll let him pick the Force.
Okay, an upset. I'll pick the Force for an upset.
Oh,
Against the
see?
Brum-
I
the
mean, you've
Brumbies.
got a 50% chance of being right.
That's right, exactly. That's right. Well, sometimes they turn it up, but the Brumbies are playing very well at the moment. And if we look at that top six, Chiefs, Crusaders, Brumbies, Reds, Hurricanes, Moana Pacifica, and then still in the running, I mean, Moana Pacifica are on 24. The Blues are on 22. The Western Force are on 22. The Waratahs are on 21. And then actually not far behind the Highlanders. So it's anyone's game.
Still pretty close, isn't it? Down the bottom.
I'm going to draw a line under the Blues. I think the other four can't make it.
Western Force and Waratahs.
Yeah.
Right.
And Highlanders and Fijian Group.
Okay. All right. Wait with bated breath. Some stories from, around the headlines around the world. And James O'Connor, here's a kicker. Why don't we upset the Wallabies and why don't we naturalise James O'Connor and put him in at number 10?
Because New Zealand,
number 12.
New Zealand have too many good 10s.
And go all right, even if he came off the bench, wouldn't he?
And
he was
Australia needs him more than New Zealand.
He was born here.
I don't care. He's not going to be in the All Blacks.
And he won't be eligible, will he?
Well, you're just not going to have him.
Razor might put a curveball in there.
He's on the selection panel.
Yeah, I tell you what, though, I did like the form of Noah Lolesea for the Brumbies, and he's going overseas. So, pick him if you're going to pick a wild card.
Isn't it interesting how, James O'Connor, you couldn't stand him when he played for the Wallabies, but for the Crusaders,
Now you love him.
No, that's what I'm saying. Don't pick him. I still can't stand him.
I don't know why this is in the headlines, but Eddie Jones joins the Lions tour coverage. If anything else, just to cause controversy.
As a commentator.
Right,
yeah, well, that.
Oh, well,
Yeah, so I think, and he's already come out and said he thinks the Aussies have got a very good chance, and I think they do too.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to the story. I think the Lions get named this week. And yes, so let's talk about the Lions a lot during this year.
That's right. Spain makes history in sevens rugby. They make the first ever World Series final. They get the silver. But we have seen Spain play some good sevens, haven't we?
Yes.
And in all their sports, in football and yachting. And so there's something going on in Spain. They're winning a lot of stuff. So, but certainly a development there for sevens rugby. Who knows what will happen with the 15s?
Yeah, and really nice to see the men's sevens finally get a medal.
Yeah.
Getting third spot. So, but Spain and Uruguay are the two nations that have really blossomed in the last campaign.
Yeah. And I had it last on the list, but let's jump to it now. Isn't this Blackfern Sevens team? I mean, you talk about some legendary teams, and you talk about perhaps the All Blacks under Richie McCaw, the amount of games they won. This Blackfern Sevens team is just outstanding, aren't they? Because they have had a little bit of turnover, but they've been able to soak that up and then introduce the young guns coming in, and they are just performing at the highest level so well.
I've got a really good plan around that. Actually, earlier this year, I was fortunate enough to be up at a New Zealand Rugby conference, and Corey Sweeney spoke to us around some of the framework they use and how they bring those athletes in and provide them experiences, and how they really put a lot of emphasis on the person and allowing them to be themselves, which help them perform under pressure and what that looks like. So this is really the outcome of a lot of work that they're doing in the background there.
Yeah,
And the senior players are very inclusive with those youngsters too, aren't they?
Yeah,
It's a family.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, just incredible talent, and 31-7 over Australia. Australia aren't a slouch side; they're a good side, aren't they?
Very good.
But they probably haven't been performing this season as well as they have in the past. But and the defence, just strong tackles. Reece Lane just absolutely slamming people into the dirt.
Yeah, Australia
Yeah.
couldn't get out of their half in the first half of that game, and I mentioned from me about Sarah Hirini. Hirini.
Putney. Yep.
Thank you. Just what a player.
Yeah.
I mean, this lady's come back from a major injury, and then she plays the whole game. She scores a try. She gets the last touch. I don't know if she's going to play again. I don't know what her plans are, but what a champion rugby player she's been. Like, she is kind of like a Richie McCaw in female rugby, I think.
Yeah, she's a phenomenal human. Not many people can come back, in that space of time that she did, and an immense athlete on and off the field. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a great team. I
Is this-
agree with your sentiment. It's a great team.
Is she going to be putting her hand up for Olympics? Do we know, or is this her swan song, or is she carrying on?
Unsure.
Yeah.
Unsure,
Don't know.
yeah.
I hope she keeps playing. She's certainly capable.
So we look forward to some of those players coming into the Rugby World Cup squad. So that's been announced. Ruby Tui misses out. Now, who's the other one? Was it Holmes? What's her? Renee Holmes missed out. So that says to me the caliber of the form in Super Rugby, and those young guns coming through. There's some talent coming through.
Yeah, there's a couple of really talented young ones coming through, and you feel for Ruby and Renee, but if you look on the park and if you're picking off form, then Braxton, Sorrison, McGee.
Yeah.
18-year-old
rookie out of the
18-year-old
Blues.
rookie out of the Blues, just phenomenal. Tiny but hearty. And somehow she just evades defenders like they're not even there. I don't know how much of it you've watched, but yeah, I think it's really exciting. And I guess like if you talk about exposure and those old ones, I've got some experience and some of these young ones don't. So how do you get them game time so that they're prepared for a World Cup when that comes around?
And I noticed Wayne Smith at the training ground. So just casting an eye, and
he's a mentor to them, isn't he?
I believe
so it's great to see him there supporting as well. So it's going to be a big challenge because Six Nation, England, France, they've come off a tough competition, and we're sort of going in a bit cold. So it's going to be interesting with these games coming up, just how our performance will be. But exciting.
I'll follow the build up with interest, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
And is it going to be Reece Lane at halfback or Maya Joseph? There's lots for the coach to think about.
And it probably won't be on results. They'll mix it up a bit, won't they? Just to try a few things. But and then you've got the introduction of that sevens talent coming through. It's it's going to be very interesting indeed to see. Just quick mention, Bordeaux to face Northampton in the Champions Cup final, May 24th. So there you go. That's come to a head in the Northern Hemisphere. Thank you very much, Estelle. Really appreciate you coming in. It's great to find a little bit more about your role in the region and supporting the growth of the women's game. Especially in that younger age group, it's good that those numbers in the under 15s are looking strong. So nice to see.
Yeah, thanks heaps for having me on. And always good to get a bit of commentary and visibility around the women's game. So we relish that. So thank you, both of you.
Lovely to have you in. Any thoughts for the weekend, Les?
My shout out again for JAB and age grade rugby. That's well and truly underway now, second week. So I think the kids had a festival in JAB. They had a festival last week, so now they get into playing games. And age grade are into their second week of the club window, term 2 club window. So yeah, shout out to everyone who gives their volunteers their time to those players.
Good stuff. Big thanks once again to the Turf Hotel, proud venue sponsors, and don't forget to check them out this weekend. Where to listen? You can catch us on the website MBS Talk Nelson, and also Facebook and Instagram. We've got Spotify, we've got YouTube and digital radio, so you can't really miss us. Don't forget, if you do want to get involved in the podcast, I must give a shout out that you don't have to be invited to come on the podcast. So I put a message out to both football and rugby around the clubs, inviting them to participate. One comment was, nice to be finally invited. And I thought, we've missed something here. We should put out that it's totally open. And if you want to come and promote your club and promote what you're doing in rugby, we'd love to have you on the show. And all you have to do is look at our website, get in contact with us, and we'll arrange a time for sure. From a sponsor's point of view, if you want to get your message out to the far depths, I know they definitely listen in Picton, the Picton Club. Shout out to Donna there. She runs a football club as well, but she's been involved in rugby and she always listens to the podcast. So shout out to you, Donna. Thanks very much for listening. But if you want to get to the far reaches, then get in touch with us. It'd be great to have you on the show. That's a wrap. We'll see you for the next episode for more Mako Rugby Roundup.
The Mako Rugby Roundup. What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.